Welcome back to Studio 5. Most women, we love routine. There is something about structures and schedules that light us up from the inside out. But are you setting the right routines for your family? As we approach the big back-to-school transition, Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend wants us to look at our routines a little differently. We love routine.
Do you? I know. What is that?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
It seems too routine. Now, routines can be boring, can't they?
Sometimes.
But it doesn't matter to you, does it?
No, boring in this case is oh so good.
Boring, good. Here's the definition of routine.
Okay.
You know what it is? Just what?
Well, like a pattern of consistent events.
Of boredom. No.
Webster should hire me.
Here, exactly. Definition says a customary or regular course or procedure. Regular, unvarying, habitual.
Habitual.
So kids are about to go back to school.
Right.
How many of us are so excited to get them habitually into some program and process?
There's something about the structure that makes the house just hum, right?
We like that, and it's not bad. Kids good, but here's the deal. If you're going to make anything a routine, what should be the routine? So I've taught time management for years, literally 20 years. And what I found is it's not about time anymore. It's not about managing things. It's not about routines about homework, which is how we make all of our routines. You know what the routine should be about?
What?
Relationships.
Routine should be about relationships.
If your routine does not grow a relationship, what on earth are you doing it for?
Good point.
You know what I mean?
Good point.
And if you don't, but routines are important, because if you don't have a routine, you're going to end up having to react to life.
Right.
And if you're reacting to life, you're going to miss relationships anyway.
So you want us, tip number one, to stop focusing on the routines, or focus on the routines, not reacting.
Not the reacting. Life is good, so routines are good. I want everyone out there to know we love routines.
Yes,
But routines in the end aren't the key. If I can get my kids to do their homework in a routine fashion, that won't necessarily make me closer to my children. So instead of just focusing on the routine, I want your relationships to reveal what routines you should be having.
What do you mean by that?
So
That's
weird.
deep.
This is way deep. Think about this. If you knew you had 4 hours to live, what would you do?
I would be with the ones I love the very most.
Bingo! What would you? I'm sure you'd still finish your house cleaning.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm sure you'd still get up and do your morning jog.
Negatory.
I'm sure you'd still have the kids come home and do their homework.
Not happening.
So notice, those routines don't matter, yet we're caught up in them every day. What would matter in the end are the relationships.
In fact, you say there are 6. As you're setting these routines, you should think about these 6 relationships.
You have 6 basic stakeholders. Okay, you ready for these?
Yeah.
The first one, I would just say, is your relationship with God. So you've got to have some spiritual routines in your life. You should have a relationship with self, which might be your health, it might be reading, it might be running, exercising, doing whatever you need to do to take care of yourself and understanding yourself psychologically. Relationship with your family, which would be your marriage, your kids. How am I doing with my children there? Relationship at work. How's my boss feel about me? So think about it. Every routine you have to get to work on time is probably to impress a boss, probably to impress the people around you, probably to strengthen those relationships. You have to have relationships with other people, like your friends, fellow travelers in the world. There's a ton of relationships that matter. So to have routines that don't focus on the relationships means you've probably got the wrong routine.
Well, I am just sitting here, you've cracked my mind open to this idea, because we do shape our relationships around our routines a lot of times, as opposed to shaping our routines around our relationships.
And that might be because a lot of times we just know we play roles in life, and we think the role matters, like being a mother matters. Well, being a mother without relationships with your children doesn't matter. Being a friend without friends doesn't matter. Being a child or a son without a relationship with my parent may not matter. So don't get so caught up on your roles of life. Get caught up more on what's happening with the relationship. So with each one of those areas, you could be asking, how do I want my children to see me? How do I want my relationship to look like with my child? What do I want my relationship to look like with my wife? And I should be thinking of how I want the relationship to be. And then I could say, what routines should I make sure I have? So when your kids come home from school, it's not just about getting them their snack and getting them doing their homework and practicing the piano. Maybe it should be, what's the most important thing I can do with that child when he gets home from school to make sure my relationship is strong? Okay,
now some women might be listening to this and saying, gosh, that sounds nice, but they have to practice the piano and they have to get the homework done. So how can you get the kids to buy in to that routine with you?
Basic rule, no participation, no buy-in. If the kids are not involved in this process of sitting down, so right now is a perfect time to do this. Spend some time right now to talk to your kids, sit them down and say, I don't want to yell at you. I don't want to hate you because you play piano. I don't want to have a beat down every night. I want to have a close relationship. So how can you and I have some time alone where we can be strong and healthy and go practice the piano?
And that will change, you say, how the kids react to the chore.
Because if they're helping you make up the routine, they're going to buy into it. People do things that they buy into, and they fight things they don't buy into.
So how young, I mean, how old, however you want to look at it, what age did you start welcoming the kids into the routine setting process?
From the day they're talking.
Let them have a say.
Think of the simple routine of wanting to read with your child. It's a beautiful thing. Let's go read with our child. But to read with your child and only focus on reading, then you're missing the relationship. So what if you could just spend more time looking in the child's eyes, playing with the child, talking to the child, and reading? Don't make reading the routine, make relating the routine.
Which ends up, puts us at your very last point, put those relationships at the very top of your to-do list.
That's exactly right. And don't be so focused on the rigidity of getting the routine done. Focus on the relationship being most important. The relationship is what's going to matter in the end. If in the end you have 4 hours to live and you're not going to call the routines in, you're going to call the relationships in, and you're going to want to connect. So if that's what's most important, then we have to make sure that the real bonding and loving and caring is in each routine.
And not saying one goes without the other. They're two together.
But in the end, there's only one that really matters.
There you go.
So in the end, you're not going to be so grateful that you drilled routines your whole life on your children. You're going to be grateful that you have a relationship.
It's kind of permission to loosen up, just a little.
And actually, you'll probably relieve a lot of guilt. Because most of our guilt is because our relationships aren't strong enough, but our routines are.
When I think of setting up successful routines, my mind goes to your Life Changer program.
Killer program called My Life Changer. It's honestly the best thing I've ever done, really. We focus on one principle a day, and then we give you some questions where you ask yourself these questions. Out of these questions come your own plan. So every day you make your own plan on one principle, you live it. And then we rotate those principles through for about a month. And by the end, you've kind of mastered 6 principles. All you got to do is go to MattTownsend.com. It costs $6 a month.
Easy.
And you get a coach every day to coach you through your principles.
It's like Matt, every day.
Every day.
We couldn't ask for more. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Britt.
We'll be right back.